We have seen a great attacker side from T1, especially against a team like TSM in the past. It is still the jury in favor of the defense on a map like Ascent. And, you know, considering how the middle can still be kind of opened up for the attack, the defense still have a greater opportunity to keep the attackers at bay.
Interesting to see that nobody on the CT side invests any resources around holding middle map. Caboose is about to be met with a number of folks. He's going to get flash, he's going to get paranoid, he's going to get everything, as is T1. They get 3 on the opening moments of the round. Envy's down to the last 2 members and make that 1. Things don't look good if you're Envy right now.
Yeah, it's all slowly starting to fall apart here. Yeah, not looking good, not looking good. But, you know, for the side of Envy, it is at least only just the first round on a defender-sided map. And so, really, can you blame them for really for being in this position where they're only able to get 1? Crashy's going to find himself in a great position as, just looking for that Ultor point, but does not end up finding it. Around goes to T1. And we see a breach on AZK, something I don't think we've seen just yet. And so, of course, T1 not saving the strats for the major. This is the major, and they want to do well.
It is also worth noting, I'm taking a look at things for T1 on both instances that they've played this map. They like having a breach. They ran Omen, Breach, Cypher, Phoenix, and Sova on both instances up against Way to French and Echo 8. So there's something about the breach that they really like here.
Yeah. To be quite honest, if Bach is in the chat hovering around, we've talked about a triple flash meta, a quadruple flash meta. They've got the Omen, they've got the Phoenix, they've got the Breach. So once they go to attack, expect the defense, which will be Team Envy, to just be looking at the sun the entire time. It's going to be flash after flash, a little bit of darkness, and then some more flashes.
Oh, that's certainly going to hurt. Food and AZK are able to get opening frags. Food buying big here, and it's paying off as he gets 2. Brax gets 1. Brax gets the second one as well, and that's a flawless round for T1.
Yeah, it's a great start for them, but this is where the attack at least have the opportunity to make a dent. Do I think that they will? It's difficult to say, to be quite honest. You know, this is not normally a map where the attackers have a great time. So really expect them to, I mean, unless they're able to put something together and really have a good showing here, maybe stack towards a specific site and use their flashes in conjunction with one another. You've got Caboose, you've got Akis, you've got the Omen and the Phoenix to provide some of that flash support. If you push on to a site like B or A, there's greater opportunities for you to find yourself flashing 2 or 3 members, and that's good for trading picks. But look at this positioning from T1. They try to push early down what I consider A long. Finesse will find one. Skadoodle here has the Ares. I think he almost was able to take one down. We see the caster vision of the outlines, but they don't actually get tagged as there's a box on the other side.
Skadoodle managed to get one. He managed to wallbang his way into one, and he's still fishing, looking for another one. Again, he knows there's somebody right over on the other side, hasn't been able to connect. And look, if you're Envy, you don't want to give away anything to let him know that you're still there. But of course, they get caught out. Skadoodle is backed off, at least from wallbanging for the time being. You see the spike still hanging out there up over on B side. Only 1 member has dropped on either side. This is going to leave things in a pretty even 4v4. And as I say that, things open up. Food and Crashies get a frag apiece. And the spike makes its way onto B.
Yeah, Akis, he's going to find the quick trade. Still needs to push his way forward, but as he tries to escape, it is Akis that is ultimately his demise. And, you know, looking at a map like Ascent, which obviously Envy did end up picking, like I said before, I just think the T1 are still comfortable on this map. This is something that they're still happy to be playing. And if you're Team Envy, like, I'm just afraid. I'm just afraid that they will not be able to put rounds together and they're going to struggle. We'll see. Of course, we're going to have to see. But so far, T1 have done a great job with varying types of strategies. And particularly, I'm looking at this, the control of Gelato here as they push forward, have a lot of flashes at their disposal. That's triple flash towards A. You best believe Envy are never going to peak that ever again. And so we'll see how they adapt, because so far they want nothing to do with it.
Now we're seeing much more of a focus around controlling the middle of the map. You see the spike just on the other side of the arch wall. Nobody's showing anything yet, however. You hear the door go down. The camera has dropped. It hasn't spotted anyone, but it's going to get dropped pretty instantly here. But again, pretty slow, pretty methodical. Both teams just waiting. Neither of them pulling a trigger.
You know, a completely random point, but before there was a battle between Vandal and the Phantom. With those new Phantom skins, I think that battle's been pretty much settled. That Phantom skin is the coolest, and there's so many different colorways. We're seeing it used here, the blue one, as it takes out Akis, and now Food as well. He gets a part of the conversation. Lots of frags. There's 4 on the round, and he makes them eat their food.
Food with a huge round there. And T1, this is a very different feeling relative to what we had on map 1. Envy just haven't been able to find their footing so far. Nobody has more than 1 kill. Yeah, it's only been 4 rounds, but their economy isn't in the greatest of shapes. Look at how far they're buying down. Finesse is down to 600. Caboose and Mummy are down to 400 apiece. Like, losing this hurts a lot.
Yeah, but not much you can do. Like, look at the setup from T1. How can you push towards A? You can, and that's why you're seeing them push forward. They might even end up with a frag. I think they saw the spike there, and that gives so much information over to the side of T1. They are playing the start of this map masterfully. Envy, they need to adapt, because if you're limiting to like, okay, I can't push A ever because they always have control. Well, then what do you do? Like, what do you you look for cat control? They have not once pushed up cat as Team Envy.
Well, there's a push, at least in that general direction. Calypso gets the best of Crashies, and the calls throughs come out. They're going to spot. He's going to spot 3. He hasn't been able to connect on anyone's head yet. He's so freaking close. Oh, but he's going to get cleaned up. Brax with the nice 2-piece there to give the numbers advantage to T1 yet again.
So we are now seeing action unfold before our very eyes. That does kind of favor the side of Team Envy, still down to the 2v2, and they were able to really make it work with the battle of the control for mid, and that's really ultimately the name of the game. But Skadoodle, he's got the Ares. It will never win out in a battle against the Phantom. And now Neural Theft is popped. AZK knows that he's in a little bit of trouble. The Crossfire, or rather the buddy system, not the Crossfire, it's the buddy system that'll end up winning Envy the round. An important round for them to win. I'm not going to lie. Yep. They needed it. While I saw somebody in chat saying this is an attacker-sided map, while I would genuinely agree with you, the statistics say otherwise. It's the defense that have a good, strong stronghold over how the attack decide to push in. And you're seeing it here first, how T1 are just able to really take Envy and make them struggle on this map.
Yeah, and keep an eye on how these both teams continue to jockey for control around middle of the map, especially when A site has been locked down the way that it has. You try to play up the middle to at least have options and not fully invest one way or another. And that's kind of been how Envy has been forced to play this the last couple of rounds, and maybe they're going to be able to replicate on their success. But for now, there really isn't much push either way. The spike hasn't really gone very far. Nobody has passed what I like to think of as the 50-yard line, if you will. And it's just a slow burn here. Maybe they try to find a pick and then go from there. That's just tough. Oh,
Skadoodle. He sees the barrel of the gun there, and unfortunately now still no one has decided to peek him, but they will do so quite shortly as they're preparing for a flash, I believe. No flash, just the smokes, I think. On the opposite side, the flashes are ready towards the B side. Smokes are going to go down. Skadoodle going to win that first shot. The recon bolt going to make it very difficult for the peek here, but it's a clean shot onto Calypso. Still looking for more as they'll funnel in towards the B side. Unfortunately for them, they've got Crashies that they have to deal with. They will do so quite handily. And now just down to the final 2 here for Envy. It's a 4 stack from T1 that are going to be able to really split off and push onto that B side together. But now here comes the retake from T1.
And it's certainly not out of the realms of possible. They have the numbers advantage. And sure, there aren't a ton of entry points onto this site, but if they play this well, this should be Pretty smooth sailing if you're T1. Oh my gosh, he almost made it through, but he's gonna get cleaned up. AZK, Spidey sense is going off. He's gonna clean up Akis. That's gonna leave one person left, and not for long. As Skadoodle gets his third of the round, Caboose drops, and that's another round in the pockets of T1.
Yeah, that's big. You know, it's going to continue to give them space. You know, if we see hypothetically, it's 11-1. Like, that is rough for the side of Envy. And, you know, I am looking for how long they can hold on, how many rounds can they put together. Because ideally, for them, it's 9-3, right? That's the best scenario. You can't really break through the defense. You have a 9-3. Then you get to do what T1 is doing to you right now in that second half. And so they just need to try to find these gun rounds, try to find success on them. They almost did in that one, but they lost too many bodies, and it was too difficult to continue to push forward.
Oh, boy. Oh, the jump peek works, but it doesn't work the second time. Crashies able to clean up Caboose. There's the neutral theft, and that's going to give away everybody without much left for Secret. You see the spike backing off a bit, but it looks like T1 wants to push forward instead. The spike is just around the corner. Yeah, he's going to spot him. He is able to get the kill. The spike's going to go down, and they're going to get all of the information that they need for this round.
Envy, while odds are against them, of course, down to the 2v4, are trying to make the best of a bad situation. Brax on the opposite side, waiting for someone to push forward. And, of course, the spike in enemy territory, they've got to play it a little bit safer. But now Mame's got himself a weapon upgrade, as does Finesse. They'll make their way together. And if one falls, they can at least trade. But already you're seeing the defense in a very scary setup. Skadoodle looking towards the catwalk. As Finesse starts to collect his things, camera going to be going out into his hands. And now as they swing, Skadoodle, of course, he does leave the angle. And now here's the Cyber Cage along with the Owl Drone. It's a shot from Skadoodle, but they know exactly where he is. And so they can play this carefully. Shock darts are going to make it very expensive in terms of the HP bars. Skadoodle still trying to make things difficult here for Envy, not letting them end up with any frags whatsoever. It's flash after flash for AZK. At this point, I think save the weapon. You're not winning this battle. They've got so much control here in the courtyard. And so that's another round here for T1.
Yeah, and things are starting to look dire if you're fans of Envy. And based off of what we saw on the last map, if you're T1, you can't let your foot off the gas. Envy has shown that if you give them an inch, they're going to take the damn mile. And they're capable of that, right? Like, they're good enough to do that. So if you're T1, keep your foot on their throats, keep racking on these rounds, and make it the gap once you hit halftime so large. Make the expanse so impassable that there's no way Envy can get back into this thing.
Yeah, just for some clarity's sake for those in the chat, it is, of course, Envy that did pick this map. And T1 were able to pick the side. So that should provide a little bit of clarity. As we see an early pick from Caboose, Crashies is going to fall, and that's a great pick for Envy. That might open things up as the triple flash setup towards the A site. Not really going to work out this time, as the early pick means that they got to support the rest of the team.
And it looks like for the first time all map, they may be able to get their way onto A with relative ease, as there's nobody on the side of T1 that's over there, at least looking on the site. Yep, they're going to slip their way through. Oh my gosh, they're like two ships passing in the night. Food is able to get the best of Calypso. Grubhub has arrived, and the food delivery is here. He's going to push his way onto the A site as the door goes down. Brax is spotted one. He's able to get Caboose through the wall.
By the way, not sponsored by Grubhub, but would appreciate one. That'd be dope. But early look from Brax, just trying to gather information onto that site. Spike, of course, going to be going down, and it's the 4v3. Very doable here for the side of Envy, but T1 are going to make it very expensive. That's going to be the Hunter's Fury and the red carpet that's rolled out for the team. Skadoodle from distance, finding that shot with the Hunter's Fury, while the rest of the team pushing forward, just down to Mame. And at this point, you whip out the Hunter's Fury, gonna find one, but has to pull it away. He hears the footsteps coming through, and it's AZK that puts him in the corner right by the slaughterhouse. Meat on display, and so is Mame as he gets taken out by that crucially beautiful execution, and it's another round for T1.
All right, so I hesitated to say things like this early on because it was close, and, you know, there were still things that could be determined and what have you. And it could still be this way, but I feel a little bit more confident in saying something that's like wide sweeping and a blanketing statement, right? Because there's less likelihood that I'm wrong. It's all about a confidence play. Envy look like they've been hit with a haymaker, and they've been stunned for the last freaking 8 rounds. They don't know up from down, and they're just in their corner trying to get their footing about them, and T1 just isn't having any of it. They've played so well, and yeah, we can talk about site half difference and, you know, CT versus preferred maps and things of that nature, but even if you're on the less advantageous side, you gotta put up more than this.
Oh, Crashies. Is he going to be able to put some of it up? Has to reload. Flip, it runs dry. It's Akis that takes advantage of the situation now as they'll funnel in towards the B site. They have control of mid, and that means that the team is split. We are seeing the potential push in from Finesse. It's AZK that is there to deny that push, and now having to. That was almost a collateral. That was so close. It's still looking for one more. It's not going to be enough as Calypso finally pushes forward down to the 2v2. AZK going to wait for his fellow comrade to push forward. Orbital Strike going to clear out that back of sight that leads to the defender's spawn, and now of course the spike officially going down. AZK going to use this blaze wall with his team member Food. Shots good onto Mame, just down to one final player, and it's a quick trade around for T1. Food makes it easy as they push forward. 8-1 the scoreline. Not looking good right now for Envy.
No, and we've seen a couple of almosts, right? We've seen a couple of instances in which Envy has gotten close, where they've managed to get on site, where it looks like just for a moment they have what they need, but then T1 just shows up and shuts the door on their faces. T1 has shown, in my opinion, proficiency in all possible aspects of this half of this map. They've managed to squelch pushes before they start. They've significantly taken sites back after Envy has managed to get there. They've played slow. They've played aggressively. T1 is terrifying right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. And call me biased all you want. T1 just have a great performance on Ascent. They've got a great track record, and you're seeing that here as they push in the courtyard. I mean, yes, it's the pistol, but to really understand the pulse of really what is happening and to understand, okay, this is the round that we can kind of just throw away and really push forward. They don't even lose a member at all. It's a flawless round. And so that's another one for the books. The big question for me, the biggest question here, if you are an Envy fan, okay, if you are an Envy fan, do you believe that they will win the second half because you're a believer? Or do you believe that Envy will win the second half because they're good enough to do so against T1? That is the biggest question for me moving on into that second half.
And there's a lot that can change, right? There's a whole lot. Even like you rattle off a couple of rounds here at the end, you go into halftime, and it's a different story. But that's a Herculean effort that's being asked out of Envy here. And they need this. This is a best of 3, and they've already dropped the first one. Food is playing with it at this point as he takes care of Mummy with the run it back, and he's looking for more. Is just narrowly going to run out of time, but it doesn't matter because Crashies and Skadoodle are there as backup. Calypso's able to trade one, but he's going to get cleaned up. Excuse me, Finesse drops his Food, gets another one.
Yeah, at this point, I don't really know what you do if you're Envy. There's just too many flashes. Retakes are a nightmare because you try to get into position, but they'll just flash you out or try to snuff you out with their utility. And it's just down to one final player. It's Calypso. He sets down a couple of smokes to really give him some safety. But, I mean, it's the 1v3. I mean, if there's anyone that could do it, it could be Calypso. But as the paranoia comes in, the aftershock, he's just like, where do I go?
Yeah.
Nowhere to go is exactly where he's going to end up being. So 10-1, it was the full buy from Envy. As we look at the economy here, it's going to be a little bit of a broken buy for Envy. Spectres, just for one player. Finesse, light armor across the board. Caboose can't even buy armor. And T1, before this round, a couple of members were at credit cap. And so that is pretty good understanding of how well so far this team has done. Not really a lot of players are bankrupt. In fact, they're doing quite well. So this could be 11-1 here.
Yeah, Skadoodle. I don't know if you saw that at the end there. Skadoodle switched over to an LMG. He's looked like they've got to be having fun at this point, not even going with the regular buy either. So run it back. Caboose gets popped as, his clone gets popped as Akis drops. Crashy's getting first blood.
Yeah, that's an early pick. Caboose will find one, and Skadoodle still a couple more remain for the side of T1, and they want to finish this one strong. But finally, Team Envy have a man advantage, and this could bode well for them. They could finish 10-2. Orbital Strike will stop the push forward, but still it's going to be two that try to get out of the danger zone. That'll be a quick trade for food. We've seen him do this before, but does he have enough firepower here to really make this round come back into the favor of T1? The spike is ticking for the side of Envy. They have no reason to get out of there. This is the last round. They could just stay there and hold. They don't need to escape. There's no need for exits, so they have to push in on the side of the defense. Food going to start with the curveball. Shots good onto Mame, but still it's two that are in the archway. It's Caboose that defends the site. And at the bare minimum, even if Envy now lose the pistol and they lose the round to follow, it's not going to be over quite yet.
You know, you want to have hope, right? If you're a fan, you want to have hope. But at what, I mean, yeah, it's possible. You're down 10-2 at half on Ascent. Like, this map, and we just saw firsthand how snowbally the map can be. It plays off of itself, in my opinion, more than any other map in the rotation right now. So, for T1, win this pistol round.
Yes.
And you've swept Envy 2-0.
Yep. Okay. It's very important for Envy to win this. If you are a Envy fan, now is the time to bleed blue. This is the opportunity to show your support for Envy. They need it if they want to take this to map number 3. If you're a T1 fan, just sit back. It's business as usual. Your team is in the driver's seat. Early, we will see a couple of kills traded. It's just Mame and Brax. This Brax will be the one that is next to fall. T1, a great push now forward towards the B side. Caboose trying to get in position. That's going to be the curveball that is almost ready. And on the opposite side, it is going to be Food. Oh. Caboose! Caboose! He finds 4 on the round, and Envy, their dreams are still alive.
At least for now, and look, if you're Envy, you won the pistol round. That's great. You need that. You need this one too, and I know I just said need, and it feels like, well, Doug, of course, every single round is a need in this situation, and that's because that's true, and I can't stress that enough. Every single round at this point is a need for Envy just to get to map 3, right? Just to extend this thing. If you're T1, you can still roll the die. You can play aggressively. You've got such a big lead that you can afford to make a couple of mistakes and still not be worried.
We are now seeing, funny enough, Envy do the same thing. Have early control. They, of course, don't have the triple flash, but it's Mame. Oh, that B-site play. I'm not going to patent it that Hiko created it, but he definitely brought it to light on stream. A beautiful mow down that give him a lot of space to push forward. And it's, look, oh my God, Mame. How does he know? How does he know? How does he know? Doug, I'm waiting for an answer.
My man, if I had an answer for you, I'd give it to you. At 7 and 12, he needs to continue to know, however, and he needs to continue to put up frags. Those 3 rounds are 3 ever important rounds, but the mountain that they need to climb is much higher than the height that they've reached up until this point. They're going to need to continue to put rounds up, and again, if you're T1 here, now you've got guns, right? Like, this is good against good. We've talked about this. You need opening frags. You need to be able to put something together here. Calypso, with his timing, just narrowly missing a chance onto Food, and it looks like Food is going to be the one holding that angle now. The spike rotating its way over onto A. A pretty slow push, but a push nonetheless as they invest. It's at 3 going up catwalk. Calypso with a blind shot, not connecting onto anyone. Caboose is going to use run it back and unfortunately flashes himself, but Food is able to get the first one onto Calypso. He drops back looking for more, and yeah, he's going to get the second one as Caboose drops, looking for the third, not going to get it. Finesse winning that gunfight.
Okay, this is, of course, oh, Mame! Mame! Put the Ares away, okay? Put it away. You're doing way too much here. Okay, now he upgrades the Ares off to the wayside. really, he's showing me that not only can Sinatra play the Odin, but Mame, he can play the Ares. So Spike, of course, down for T1. A great push forward. We saw some unfortunate curveballs from Caboose, and that'll net them 2 frags. But still, it's 3 that remain for T1. Team Envy, they want to continue that momentum. They don't want to lose this round really quite yet. So we'll see how they divide and conquer here. The pushes are starting to come through. That's Mame, that's up above. That's will be 1 frag for him. But it's Finesse, it's already deep onto the site. Skadoodle, though, with the Bulldog, will manage to make it work. And T1, they're 1 away here from match point. And the series.
T1, 1 round away. They've got the money. They've got the lead. They've got momentum, I would argue. Things don't look great if you're Envy. Yeah, those 3 rounds that they were able to rattle off, they're insanely important for morale, for economy, you know, even. But for T1 to win that round, that's a huge hump that they had to get over on the less advantageous side. Mummy looking to see if he's going to be able to get an opening frag here. He's going to get a chance at just a moment, but looks like he's going to miss the first one, but he doesn't miss twice. Mummy getting the best of AZK in the opening moments of this round.
Pros don't miss twice. Okay, so Food, he's unfortunately going to miss his opportunity there with the running back as he pushes forward. That door will be closed, but they will look to open another door. Look at that control that they managed to gain from the middle. It is Crashies that is in deep behind enemy lines, but will they snuff this out?
Oh boy.
We are seeing an early rotation from Mame, and they will. Akis, though, he's about to get a face full of curveball, but they don't even know that he's there. They do check their corners, though. Their 50s are now clean, and it's Food leading that charge towards the A site.
It's going to be a 4v3 in favor of Envy here. They've got to keep the numbers advantage. They've got to win this round just to extend the situation here. You hear the spike begin to be planted as Skadoodle's able to get one, knotted up 3-3. The spike has gone down. We're potentially just a few moments away from match point.
Yeah, some picks here from Envy will net them a round win as Skadoodle's like, I'm going to try my hand at pushing up through the window. But Mame, I redact the redaction of him losing, first gaining the salary boost, then losing the salary boost, but now it's back. This is the round where it's come back. CEO of Envy wire transferring Mame a boost as we are seeing him. 13-13 and 3 on the board. Of course, a rough first half, but now he's starting to come alive, and that operator really is the reason why he's doing so well. What was it, 4 kills for him that round? That is crazy. Now, mind you, T1 are on the pistol. Envy have a pretty big opportunity here to start to grow their economy and develop a lead. They can afford to lose 1, but that's all they can afford to lose. So we'll see how T1 start to prepare and if they're able to get some picks here on the pistol.
And look, if yeah, you can afford to lose 1, but only 1, and it can't be this one, right? Like, this is the equivalent of a bunt in baseball. Just pick it up, throw it to first base. Right? They're giving you the out. They're giving you the round here in a pistol situation. You play this right. You're set up for another one. But you just can't. This can't be the one that you lose. This can't be the one that you fumble. The spike hanging out in the middle of the map here. As it looks like it's a pretty slow push. Brax drops first. An important kill here if you're a fan of Envy.
Yeah, we are seeing Akis trying to capture this flank that might be coming in. The shot's good, though, from the Ghost, which means that may open things up here. But Caboose, he's ready for another look in towards the market, and he'll find one as a result. He'll find 3 as a result, but still, T1, they're determined to push in towards this B site, at least some way, somehow. The weaponry, though, not really going to bode well for them as somehow AZK manages to find Caboose. So now we are seeing Calypso look for maybe some of these revenge frags. AZK manages to make his way onto the site. But when you got Mame in the back there, he makes sure that they don't get really far. So 11-6 the scoreline. This is where T1 have weaponry back on the board. And we're going to be looking at a player like Food, who's, quite frankly, 23-10-4, has been just popping off today. Somebody like him who's 1 point away from his ultimate to create some space, find some entries, push forward with the run it back, and maybe bring this to match point. So this is crazy.
I take what I want.
And it looks like they're going to want to make a play onto A. We've talked about the utility that Envy has to try to zone off on A. Looks like Caboose might have just gotten a bit of information here as AZK cheats forward, drops right back. They're both going to get paranoid. Mummy, excuse me. getting the opening frag on the round.
Yeah, looking at Envy here.
Oh.
A very similar setup to what T1 was running round after round on their defensive side. 2 towards B, but it's the information agents that are sticking around. It's the Sova, it's the Cypher. Really a great opportunity to keep the enemy at bay when you just keep throwing recon information. You know, the recon boat, the camera, the tripwires. There's just a lot there. And, of course, the one-way that has been set up on the little archway there. So, looking like T1 is preparing for a push towards A. They've got the Rolling Thunder that is going to start to make their way in. Skadoodle looking for any of those clearings with the Hunter's Fury in back of sight, but great crossfire setup. Only Crashy's able to find himself a frag. As now here comes the peak. It's Calypso, and Envy put another one back on the board. So, for those of you that may be, for some reason, saying that this is attacker-sided, we are seeing it before our very eyes that it can be defender-sided. I've seen it be attacker-sided. I've seen a team specifically like T1 make quick work of an attacker side. But so far, Envy has been showing us that they're able to keep T1 at bay. And for them, that's crucial because they're really close to closing it out, and they don't want to let T1 do that quite yet. And of course, you and I, we want a map number 3. Come on.
You got to give the people what they want, right? Follow the script. Make sure we get to map 3. No, I kid. There is no script. Or if there is, I don't know what it is. But T1 and Envy here locked up in this best of 3. Again, T1, if you are just joining us, up 1-0 over Envy. And for this map, it's been a tale of the CT side, as both teams have been able to rattle off a significant amount of rounds. And Envy has made this very respectable, but it looks like T1 is heavy investing onto B, and they're throwing everything that way, but Finesse is able to get one. Food trades it out, and Mummy gets another one, but Food does not have too much on his plate as he gets the second one of the round. Caboose with the run it back, looking for blood.
Yeah, he's going to try to use it here. Unfortunately, the clone will be dissipated quite quickly. It's still 3 available for the defense. They'll find one, but it's a great hold so far from the attack. They do not want to let the defense in. That's going to be the run it back of their own, and Food is really playing with fire here. He's going to have a curveball, but still, you'll see the light, and it's Caboose that is sent flying down to the dirt nap, and now all he needs to do is wait. It's Akis, another round on the board. Expensive for both teams. It was the pistol, I believe, for T1, but still, Envy, they're still alive.
Yeah, and you know, it was pistols for them. You're right. They invested a couple of ults there to try to keep it competitive. T1 just down to 1 out of the Omen, but oh my gosh, especially with that in mind, and with the fact that it was a pistol round for T1, they made that uncomfortably close up against Envy. It was down to 1v1 at the end, and maybe different run it back placement, and we're talking about a totally different score here.
Yeah. Looking at T1 this time around, not really hovering around that A site. They're looking towards B this time around. Unfortunately for the side of T1, it's Mame who's held up there with the op. And we are now seeing from the shadows used, that's Brax. He's going to get into that back corner there. And that's a lot of information gathered. It's T1 that are now going to have to make Envy prepare for a retake. Akis gathered some information of his own. That's the Hunter's Fury to stop that plant. We'll tag one. Will he get the frag, though? Nope, but he'll tag another, and that's information gathered. Now, as we see the rotate through the defense, they need to get here quickly, as there are some defender players that are starting to fall as we switch from perspective to perspective. But it does end up boding well for Envy. T1 now the last member standing. It's Skadoodle. That's a quick jump, but still it's Calypso with the Ghost. That'll make quick work of the Sova player.
With a wall bang, too, of all things. That'll almost be paper thin for the Ghost to make its way through. But you're right, that's another round for Envy. And folks, if you had faith, if you believed in Envy, it looks like your faith is on the cusp of paying off as they've brought it down to a 2-round difference. 7 rounds on this side. Envy have made this interesting, to say the least.
So T. Chandy said the script says T1 will win 16-14. We'll see if we. So far, the script we're on track. Yep. We've had the climax. We are now in. The setting has been told. The main characters are in. The antagonist is obviously clear. It is the observing client. But but the script says 16-14, so we'll see if that ends up panning out. So far, Envy have made it very competitive and have really shut out T1, similar to how T1 did on the previous half. And with enough rounds now under our belt, it is quite telling that this map can be very defender-side, as we are now seeing the push in. They clear the angles, but now they got to deal with the curveball of their own. Mame now having to call the rotate over. It's a quick trade, Phoenix for Phoenix. But still, it's the defense that continue to hold, and they'll find their way through on the attack. But you got to check your flanked corners. Now down to the 2v2, though. Let's see how they do.
Oh boy, they've been dropping like flies back and forth. Food is able to get Mummy, and this might be it, folks. T1 may be able to get the monkey off their back for just one more round. They've got numbers advantage. One member left on the side of Envy, and you see him creeping his way onto the site in a difficult situation. But Calypso, well, now they know where he is. Shooting up that door, he's going to drop the smokes, give himself a little bit of cover. Nothing doing quite yet. The spike is ticking. He's going to have to move. He's going to have to move here pretty quick.
Still going to be checking his corners, make sure that everything's all good. But now that they'll swing together, not really going to bode well for him in that regard. So 12-9, Envy backs against the wall. This is where champions are made. Of course, it is still the group stage. Anything can happen once we get off to the playoffs, which of course will be covered by twitch.tv/PAX Arena during the actual playoff days, starting, I believe, tomorrow. So very important for Envy to come out on top here, but I still think they'll make it out of the group and really push forward in the playoffs. And who knows? Maybe these two teams face off once again. But Envy, they've got a lot of work ahead of them if they want to give us some overtime rounds.
Yeah, but they've shown that they're capable. They have the resources. They have the side. They have Calypso dropping food there. They've got what they need. This isn't totally out of the question, and I know I'm singing a very different song from what I was singing earlier, but one of the benefits of being a caster is that you can kind of change your predictions halfway through it, and well, the only person who can argue with me right now is Simo. So
yeah. Yeah, shut up, chat. No, I'm just kidding.
Nah, we love you guys.
Yeah. Okay, so early pick for Envy. They find food, and we've seen how important food can be, not only for T1 but for our stomachs at times. And we see some early picks here from the defense, just down to Skadoodle. Unfortunately, he's got the bow and arrow out, but switches to the up, and he makes it sing. Now deals with Mame as well, and all of a sudden, a very doable scenario for Skadoodle. It's the 1v2. On the opposite side, it's Akis, and he gets sent to the graveyard. Now down to the 1v1. Skadoodle has really come alive here, but he's up against Finesse, and we've seen how Finesse can make quick work of a dire situation. So, down to the mano-a-mano, and Finesse starts to rotate over towards B, but he's afraid of that operator, and Doug, boy, I would too.
Yeah, with the way that he's handled that thing just in the last few moments, how the heck could he not? 10 seconds left. However, you see Skadoodle making his way onto the site. It looks like the spike is going to go down, and Simo, this baby's for all the marbles. The spike has been planted.
Oh, yes! Finesse! Lines up the crosshair just in time. I got a little overexcited there, okay? My apologies. I was just happy that we're not down and out yet. I really want map 3, and then from there, I will remove all bias, okay? You can at least give me that. I will remove I just want map 3. That's all I want. And I'm sure, chat, you can agree with me. Map 3 is what we all want.
Listen, what are you apologizing for? That was a 1v1 for the series. Freaking A, I was fired up. And again, a testament to how close this has been, right? They've shown on both maps. Yeah, T1's up 1-0 in the series, and they're really at the cusp of sweeping Envy. But if you look at that, if you look at a 2-0, you think, oh, T1 made quick work of Envy. That has not been the case at all, folks. If you're just joining us, I feel bad for you because you've missed one hell of a show. Mummy getting the opening frag onto food, giving the numbers advantage to Envy yet again. That's a second round in a row we've seen where one of arguably the most important members on the side of T1 is on the sidelines for the entire round.
It's food again. It's again the raid boss, as chat likes to call him. We're seeing now how that can affect the team. Of course, I don't think T1 really have the weaponry In a worst case scenario, they let Envy have 12-11, and then from there, they gun round on the last possible opportunity until we're taken to overtime, right? So pistols for now, and as a result, Food, of course, will pay the price with the early look towards the fish market. But on the opposite side, we're seeing Envy prepare for the defense of a push as it's actually funneled in through near the wine cellar. Calypso's got an operator of his own. The headshots connect onto 2 there. And now just down to 1 final player. It's Crashies. Swing around the corner from Caboose, but has too many angles to check. And it's looking real close here. T1 could definitely close things out, but Doug, pay attention. Run it back, available for both sides. Neural Theft, available for both sides. Orbital Strike, I wish I could say it's available for both sides, but it's just Envy. And on the opposite side, it's the Hunter's Fury. Brax is also 1 point away from his ultimate, so this is going to be the spiciest of rounds unless we go to OT.
I'm like giddy right now at how close this map has been, all the ults that are going to be available, and it looks like it's going to be a heavy investment on the B, right? And I like that. Roll the dice. There's the first run it back that's going to be used. Nobody has died quite yet, but they're creeping their way onto the site. There's the second run it back. Crashies is going to get tagged up. The Rolling Thunder is going to drop as well, along with the Orbital Strike. Crashies is able to get first blood. The Neutral Theft is going to get him the information that he needs. Calypso gets a frag as well.
Yeah, but you'll see the defense. There's going to be Mame in the back corner. This is up to him. He's got a World of Hurt, and he gets taken out immediately. It's Food. He leads the charge, throws down the hot hands to keep himself alive, and now the rest of the defense is just up to 3. It's the 3v4. T1 have the man advantage. Calypso trying to make sure that he does not get swung on if he pushes onto the site. That's going to be the smoke as well. But still, it's Akis now going to try to catch Crashies. Okay, now it's the 3v3. Things have evened out now, and it's still Skadoodle. He's got the up. We've seen how crazy this weapon can be. Can he make it sing? It's Brax with the op shot. It's clean, but it's Caboose from the side. The fire is still going to continue, but Skadoodle with the cross. T1 with a very clean 2-0 victory. No, sorry, I take it back. Not a very clean, a very close victory over Envy.
Holy smokes. And that went down to the seconds, really. Send pixels on your monitor were the difference maker there. A couple of ops were used on the side of T1, and that's what it took to finally get that one past. Food 31-15-4. Talk about making a case for yourself as needing a raise. You got to pay the man. You got to pay Food. And Simo, we talked about this in the broadcast. When Food died first, it was a different story for T1. It made things significantly more difficult. So it just goes to show, and I don't think this is the case. This is not a case of Cloud9. This is not a case of TSM. Like, the special thing about T1 is if it's not Food, it's Skadoodle. If it's not Skadoodle, it's Brax. All of them are capable of popping off. It's next man up for that squad.
But you talk about Food, I mean, he dropped a 30 bomb onto Envy. And you talk about a player like Brax, which in my opinion, after the beta, during the beta,